to bring up Chrome. And then...
All right, I guess we're in business, aren't we? So here we go.
You have to figure out... You have to put your headset on.
Everything but the beginning. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. We're live here. We're talking about the Calgary Stampeders, and glad you're with us today. And if you want to send us any notes or any questions or comments, please feel free to do so. You've got the address, so let's fire it up and let's get going here right now. Love to hear all of your comments and questions and things. I know some of you are online, so we'll give you another minute to get fired up and go from there. How is it on the injured front? We'll get to that. That's obviously one of the biggest ones. Let's keep loading up. Tell your friends, too, that we're here. We're on the air and everything. So we'll look forward to seeing your different comments in that. Okay, here we go. What is the injury front like? Near as I can tell, it's probably as healthy as it gets. I think it's as good as the team has been all season long. I think they'll have virtually everybody to choose from, save for those that are, long-term, 6-game injured players. I think there's a chance, I would rank it as a really small chance, but that Cordero Law could come back. I'm kind of skeptical on that. The one guy I will be watching is Jagara Davis. I won't make a guarantee that he's going to start, but, I'm not going to rule it out either. I think Jagara Davis is a guy that they really would like. Obviously, he took over for Cordero Law, so there you go. Those are some of the issues there. So I don't know exactly. Good evening. How you doing there? What will the starting receivers look like? I'll get to that in just a moment. Hughes and Davis backed up by Vaughters. I think that's what they'd like. Whether it comes to pass, that's probably the one kind of challenge out there that the team has. So we're going to find out much more on Wednesday. Last week, the team had 3 practices, and, they're just more trying to get guys into different situations and work out different things. So we'll have to wait and see. So I'll give you another second here. If you got any questions, we got 10 online. Let's get more of you online. And let's get into some questions and comments here. I'll have a few things for you as well. Just overall, if you have any thoughts on Calgary and Edmonton playing, just let me know. Obviously, Edmonton's a very good team. Let's not take anything away. The Stampeders won 2 of the 3 meetings. The first one here on Labor Day, they handled very well. The second one in Edmonton, I thought the Eskimos played well, but they beat themselves a lot of stupid penalties. The coach smashing the headset and stuff like that. The third game in Edmonton, I think the Stamps played pretty well, but I'm not going to get into a situation where we can deal with everything as it relates to, how they played and how they did. I got a question from who knows where. We'll have to ignore that one. Dave Hingle, Jim Weaver. Those are baseball players from another era. But anyway, there you go. So that's what's going on. Edmonton is going to present a very formidable challenge. If you've got any scores, too, let me know. Send them on your way, and I'll take a look at those scores. So please feel free to do so. Any questions or comments here? Love to hear from you. Have all the practices been open to the public? Well, let me tell you, Wednesday will be open to the public. Thursday will be open to the public. I'm sorry, Wednesday and Friday. Thursday will not, okay? So there you are. So let me get to some of the things that I think the Stampeders have to work on this week, okay? Things they must work on this week, and I'll get them to you right here. There you go. The receiving core, Markin Michel and Marquay McDaniel are ready to return to the lineup. Parker, McDaniel, Michel, Daniels, and Jordan. I believe that will be the receiving core. Can they develop chemistry? They must during this week. They only played together once despite having 241 catches. How about that? 241. So that's a lot of the offense, but they'll only be together for the first time. They've got to develop that chemistry. I know a lot of expectation on how well Marquay McDaniel is going to do, and he's very important. I don't dispute that, but let's not put it all on him there. So let's wait and see. Fire up some of your questions there and get my technical expert here. Where'd they go? Uh-oh.
Refresh the page.
I refreshed the page. There we go. Can they carry 4 imports at receiver? Yes. I've got a scenario right here where they do carry 4 imports at receiver. Of course, but there's one other thing I've got to talk to you about. That's one. Number 2, then this is an issue here, and I find it an issue. Let me back that up there. Ground game. It must work. And that's something they've got to work on to get going. Post-bye week, they've averaged 47.7 per game. Opponents are averaging 130 per game. They have to get more and give up less. I know there's some extenuating circumstances and things like that, but there you go. 130 yards against 48-4. So back to your question about can they play an import, 4 imports at receiver? Yes, unless, do they dress one of the Williams guys in the backfield? I kind of doubt it. That's Dominique or Terry. Again, I kind of doubt it. But I don't think we can discount it either. When you look at these numbers, now it's all. I'm not putting this all on Jerome Messam, who he'll play. Jerome Messam will play. It's whether they want to give him some help. We'll have to wait and see. That could make a difference there too. Let's wait and see. So that's something they have to work on, getting that passing, at least the ground game, in gear. Here's the other thing. Third thing they must work on, getting Bo back into that sort of. Oops, that's too far. There you go. Bo with a swagger that he played with before. Obviously, again, he didn't do great down the stretch. Didn't play one game, but I'm not prepared to write him off. He played well in Edmonton. The 3 games against Edmonton, 65% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 285 yards a game, but he was sacked 3 times per game. Terry says, well, I'm not going to say it's completely unthinkable. Dave Dickinson has said he will do what it takes to win, and if somebody is going to lose some playing time or whatever, guess what? There's no next week. The door slams in somebody's face really hard on Saturday afternoon at about 5. Wilson at left tackle. I think that's what they'd, probably like to do and keep Ucambre at center. Shane Bergman, Erdos, and Federkyle would be the others. So I think that's a strong possibility there. So we'll wait and see. But anyway, first, those are the points that I want to see the Stampeders work on this week. Those are some things that I think need to be done. Is it possible to dress Finch, Williams, and Messam? Yes, it is, but we just went through it. It would come at the expense of a receiver, another receiver. So does Rory Kohler move to a starting role? Obviously the depth at receiver has been tested. I just don't know what's going to happen there. Could they take somebody off special teams? I guess that's a possibility because I don't consider Edmonton's special team return game to be all that great. Maybe they don't need another guy there. Tough decision. But Finch is playing, Messam is playing. Is there a chance for Williams? Yes. But regardless, this week they just have to get the ground game going no matter what. It's slowed up noticeably, and I know the conditions were brutal on the 3rd. I get that, so I'm not trying to write off the whole thing or say that they've fallen off the table, but there you go there. So, those are some of the possibilities there. Fire up your questions. If you got a final score or anything, too, I'd love to hear from you. But those are my 3 things that I would like to see them working on this week, and we'll see exactly if they do. Starting offensive line, left to right, I would say Spencer Wilson, Ucambre in the middle, Shane Bergman, Erdos, and am I missing somebody? Federkyle on the right side there. That's the 5 guys there. Ground game is the key to win. November 3rd is a write-off. It was brutal. Yeah, I mean, that's hard to draw any conclusions and say this guy was good. Just some things, and they maybe didn't play with the kind of jump they wanted, but nonetheless, that's what's going on. By the way, just, for those of you that are watching right now, I just want to say thank you, first of all, but, if you're the core of the core, let's see if you got some friends that want to come to the game. 33,000 plus, I would hope, huh? 33,000 plus, I would hope. We'll see. We're going to wait and see. I would like to see Bo be Bo. Well, I would too, and I think that is certainly possible. Again, I don't have any problems with the way he played in Edmonton. Didn't play so his last game was in Edmonton, and I had no problems with it. There was a lot of yardage taken off the field due to penalties, uncharacteristic penalties, some very untimely drops, and that can correct itself. Got a score here, Stamps 24-21. I will, by the way, thank you for everything you do. Appreciate it. I will give you my score a little later on in the program there. But those are some of the things that I think the Stampeders need to work on to get back into gear. So I hope you agree. Maybe you've got some other things, and I've got a few other thoughts. You can just jump in. If you got some questions or comments, feel free to bring them on. Would be better if he was 100%, of course, but Bo is not 100%, but name anybody that is. Jerome Messam's not 100%. That certainly accounts for the ground game. Again, I'm not going to shred anybody over it. I'm just going to simply say it must get better. Let me have a quick drink here. The forecast, by the way, I don't know what you've heard, but I've heard around 0 to -2 at kickoff, meaning it would drop to, -5, 6, 7 at the end of the game. I don't think wind will be a factor. It won't be the absolute most pleasant day on earth, but, we'll wait and see. I don't think weather's going to be big. It was far worse in the Winnipeg game, that's for sure. Gentleman says, sign the Dinos kicker. I was at that game. That is one of the great. That is one of the most amazing plays. That 59-yard kick, and it just crawled over, but you have to get it there. He's only a sophomore in his second year, so he's got 2 years left before he can be drafted. But every CFL team is scrambling to get out the draft notes. Hey, do we have anything on this guy? A couple of years. We'll get to that. Free agents, I'll get to that in just a minute. But anyway, it got on NFL.com, ESPN.com, USA Today. Some people are freaked out that we got 2 50-yard lines. I don't care. Works for us, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. But it was truly a sensational play. In my opinion, and I'm a UFC guy, I think it's the greatest single play in the school's history. So there you are. That's just the way. Single play, not the single moment, but single play. Okay. I think Finch wins the game for Calgary. It's a good one. We'll see. Do you know who'll be free agents? Yes, I'll talk about that in a moment. Stamps 43, Eskimos 19. I'll give you my score later. I don't know if even Dave Dickinson's thinking that, but hey, nothing wrong with that. Okay, Keys versus Edmonton. This is once they get the game plan in and installed and everything. How's Seontae Evans? He's fine. Don't worry about Seontae. He'll be okay. Anyway, Keys versus Edmonton. And this is something, got to that. I've learned this. Karnak the Magnificent, aren't I? Something like that anyway. There it is. Visual content for you. Squeeze the game early. And I'll tell you what I mean by squeeze the game early. Keep Edmonton off the board early. They've done an excellent job against all opponents this year, squeezing the game. Teams can't get things going in the first quarter, and they get a little nervous and get a little out of their rhythm. They've done it all season long. They've only allowed one offensive touchdown in the first quarter. Think about that for an entire season. That was Ricky Ray back in Toronto. They did have a touchdown against them in the Winnipeg game, but that was a defensive touchdown. They've had a few field goals and singles here and there, but the real issue is look at the way they've squeezed everybody in that first quarter. So keep doing that and frustrate the Eskimos right out of the gate. Flipping it over, another one. By the way, what time does the pregame show start? 1 o'clock our time, so 2 o'clock in Manitoba there. So there you are. Stout run defense. Let me tell you this much here. Of all the moves made at or near the trade deadline, okay? At or near the trade deadline, maybe not right on the trade deadline day. In my mind, the best move, and I don't know how they did it, but let's give them credit, the Eskimos pried C.J. Gable out of Hamilton. They were desperate. I mean, if you followed the Eskimos, and I'm sure most of you keep an eye on the Eskimos, they've had a brutal time keeping running backs healthy. I mean, John White started, I go through them all. They've had Perkins, Lachard. I missed a couple there somewhere too. But anyway, C.J. Gable has solidified that spot. They need to watch him. He's a good one. I have no idea how they got them, but let's give them credit. And to me, that was the most significant move right at the deadline. I know they got Grimes back and everything like that. He's good, but I think Gable is really, really good. You got to watch that. Faith in the boys and a busy day for Quick Six. Okay, there you go. The gentleman mentioned the return game just a second ago. Win the return game with better field position. It's something they've done all year. They must do it again. Smith has given them a little more of a return game, but on balance, they're not very good. I'll be blunt about it. Roy Finch is noticeably better than anybody that they've got there. That will be a key. I don't think field conditions will be slick or anything like that, but there we go. How's that? Away like that. Oh, the win. Can't see it. Okay. Can you read that? The win game, win the return game, be in a better field position there. So there you are. When do they announce the referees? I'm not sure. We'll get out now. We'll get Andre Proulx here. I don't know. Have to wait and see. Anyway, so that's what's going to go on. Finch should be ready. Finch will be ready. You know what? I think in the Winnipeg game, of all that came out of it, there wasn't very good. Let's be blunt about it. But it was the fact they got Finch on the field, Finch into his rhythm, Finch working side by side with his special teamers. The return unit and that. So I think that got him into the rhythm, got him back on the field. He's got that game out from under him, to get back into shape after missing the 3 weeks there. So I think that was really key. Truthfully, that's probably the best thing that came out of the game, if you want to know the truth, is getting Roy Finch back. Because he has been, and will be a different maker. And I'm going to tell you this much. He's going to Ottawa regardless, right, because of the awards. Roy Finch, will be the special teams player of the year in the league this year. And that's despite missing 5 games, 3 of which were injury. The other 2 I'm still really annoyed about. Okay? The suspension earlier in the year, and I'll tell you why. He violated the rule. That's not in dispute. He took a substance, the Adderall, okay, which is on the banned substance list. Had he gone to a doctor and said, I need this, he could get an exemption. He didn't. That's on him. I acknowledge that. But a 2-game suspension for that. Then other games during the year, you see all kinds of mayhem, late hits, quarterback hits, guys spearing quarterbacks. They get nothing. Maybe a fine. Proportionality is the thing here. He committed a crime of paperwork, and I'm not trying to exempt him. Only, let's be smart about it. A guy that takes Adderall and failing to disclose it, again, that's on him. But he got 2 games for that compared to some of the on-field stuff. I was kind of outraged, to tell you the truth. There you are. Gave up only 90 passing yards against Winnipeg. That's a positive. Well, is that a positive, or is that Dan Lefevre or the conditions? So you're right. I guess it's got to count for something. Remember, they didn't give up a defensive touchdown in that game, right? So fumble and the interception return. So they didn't give that up. So yeah, I'd have to say that's pretty good. Micah Aubuy's punishment was a joke. Well, that's my point. There's no penalties. Okay, 15 yards. No penalties for on-field stuff. And Finch got 2 games for what I call a crime of paperwork. He should have been sanctioned. The PA, and he's a member of the PA, signed off on this, and I get all that. But let's be proportional about things, right? Let's be proportional about it. If a guy, anyway, enough. We move on. Okay? It's done. He's back in shape. He's healthy. He's ready to go. You look at his amazing stats in 13 games. That's pretty amazing. So that's why he's going to win the special team. By the way, Singleton is going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. Okay? So just take that to the bank. Those are the guys who are going to win. The other one, Markham Michelle, I'd say he has a shot. Wouldn't rule it out, but we'll have to wait and see about that. So anyway, those are those. You're wanting to know, some of you, let's get a few more scores in here. How do I feel about putting Williams in over Messam? No. I'm not prepared to do that. Jerome Messam is a guy that can carry the ball. What's the word on law? I just don't know. And that's one thing to watch. My gut says he won't play. But if he comes on the field, he's certainly been working hard. He's got the great attitude. But also he's come from a long way back. Remember he got carted off the field in Edmonton there. Then when I saw him, the next time I saw him, he was, those old walkers where people lean on? Well, that's what he had. He put his knee on a walker and was shuffling ahead. That was in late June. And to think he could play in a game of this magnitude then, I don't know. I love his attitude. He's trying, but my gut says no. But let's let it play out on the field. We'll see. He's got he's done everything, but that is a long, long way. So anyway, the league could fix this if they want to. They like to claim victim to the PA, but they own the PA. Well, sort of. Anyway, we'll move on. That's an off-season one. We've got some big scores here. Dave should win as coach. Well, Dave's a great coach. He's had a great record. But, Jason Moss, let's not forget. I don't know if I'd want to be around him every day. With his act would be, he's passionate, but maybe a little too much. But anyway, the Eskimos were in the East Final last year and then the West Final this year. I don't want to discount that either. Let's not dismiss that. He's done exactly what Dave has done when you bottom line it, right? Think about it. Stampeders have been in 2 Western Finals. He's been in 2 Division Finals. East 1 year, West this year. So, you can say it's this, it's that, but let's just give him credit. He's done it. Clearly it worked for the Eskimos at some manner. So a lot of you have sent in your scores. I've only seen one score that I would consider to be outrageous, okay? outrageous, and sad to have Law get hurt and have his career in jeopardy. Well, maybe, you never know. I don't know. Score. This is mine. I know you don't want me to use these, but I'll put these up here. Can anybody see that? There it is. That's me. Stampeders, 23-21. Narrow game that will be in dispute. Dave Dickinson talking today at his news conference that he thinks it's going to be very close, very tight, a game with very few swing momentum changes, and I agree with him totally. Edmonton's come to play. Zylstra is very good. I think the Stampeders, with Marquay McDaniel back on the lineup, are going to take off and do some good things. Your thoughts on Saskatchewan? I'm good with that. So am I good with that. Your thoughts on Saskatchewan, Toronto? What's nice about Williams is he complements Messam nicely. Yes, I agree. Messam is a power back. Williams has speed, and I agree. And I think that'll be under consideration. But and that's the ratio. That's the ratio. If Williams plays, which import comes off? Could they make it, Randy Richards? That's possible. Is it somebody else, a special teams cover guy? Don't know. But it'll be a decision, and I get exactly what you're saying is a good change of pace guy because you'd like to save Roy Finch for his returns. That's me. That's the way I see it. So, let's just let it play out there. So, why has Daniels not been? He was a highlight reel last season. Well, he's been hurt a little bit and never really got into track. He, too, moved a little bit, and also he's been in a situation where he's played, hurt a little bit. The receivers have shuffled around, so the passing game hasn't been all that great. But, people have been on Bo. Let's remember this. He had 4,700 yards passing and didn't play a game. That's still pretty good. Let me put it this way. Had he played in the Winnipeg game, had the conditions have been decent, which they weren't, he was staring at 5,000 yards passing. So, still a pretty good season. Could it be better? Yes. But he was staring at 5,000 yards passing. We can't lose sight of that. But they barely got 300 yards combined in that Winnipeg game. So, there you are. Too close for comfort on the score. I agree. It's going to be really close. What do you think of Saskatchewan Toronto? Well, it's more of a Stampeder thing, but let me just say this. Let's give credit to Saskatchewan. They're starting to get on some kind of a roll. But there's something about Toronto being at home. They're going to have a good crowd. By the way, not all Rough Rider fans. I know they love to take credit for everything, but I just have a feeling that Toronto is going to do something there and knock them off. I think the run will end. I just have a feeling. I think Ricky Ray's got one amazing game in him. Go to the Grey Cup. That's just the way I see it. I think, again, that'll be a close one. I just see Toronto squeaking it out. So there you go. So that's yeah. And also back to Bo. Don't forget he sat out the second half of that Hamilton game. 60-1. There's clearly no need for him to play in that particular game. Somebody asked about free agency. My understanding is Stampeders at this moment have a couple dozen free agents or players eligible for free agency. I don't get in the slightest bit panicky about that number today, and I'll tell you why. Often the teams will say, we'll talk after the season, or the players say, let's talk after the season. If these players are unsigned on February 1st, as opposed, or supposed to whatever today is, then you got a real problem there. Yeah, that's the difference. But, there are a lot of players, receivers and defensive backs, fair number of them potentially looking at free agency, but not a big issue right now. Jerome Messam's in the second year of a 2-year deal, but those are some of the players that are potentially on the market out there. So we'll just have to wait and see. Again, I'm not too worried about it. Obviously some good players are going to go. I mean, it happens every year. But the reality is it's not that big a deal right now. It will be a bigger deal by the end of the year when, certain budget restrictions and the salary, all that sort of stuff is calculated and things like that. So there you are. Singleton to NFL. He's got one more season, so there's no discussion there. Bo has one more season as well. So, two of the cores of the team are certainly here in 2018. That's for next year. But, Singleton to the NFL, I would, I think, but I'm going to say that's another day. That's another conversation. So there you are. 26. That mean number 26? I'm going to assume as a free agent. Yes, Rob signed a 1-year deal. So Rob Cote, I think he's in a position, and again, this is more off-season stuff. Rob Rob will play for the Stampeders or nobody. That's just him. That's just where he is in his life and his career. So if it works out with the Stampeders, and it almost didn't. Almost didn't. What's happening with Mayo? I think you're looking at 2018. Maybe. Long way back. Troublesome for me is, I understand he had a very serious injury, but it's been the long, slow path to try and get back. And it's over a year now. If it hasn't got better in a year or, is it going to? I don't know. But I'm a little worried about his long-term future. I'm not sure. I heard Singleton is happy here. Singleton loves it here. He loves it here. Sick and tired of politics in the NFL. Yeah, I agree with it, but there you are. So that's that. So anyway, that's the story there on Singleton. But you never know. But again, those are off-season questions. That's for another day there. Well, maybe I'll do one of these later on. If you got any last scores you want to get in, any last things you want to get in, I'd love to hear from you. Just checking to see if there's any last-minute questions coming in. You can see in our wonderful studio here, there it is, the Herm Harrison, Jermaine Copeland jerseys. As I say, forecast supposed to be really nice for Sunday, all things considered there. So I'm looking forward to that. So, yeah, Deron Mayo, is not this year, and we'll just see what happens with him next year. So just to lead up to what's going on, by the way, McMahon Stadium is going to be crazy on the weekend. Dinos and Laval on Saturday, Stampeders and Eskimos on Sunday, trying to fit all those teams in. So the Stampeders will practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Have I heard of any Eskimo injuries? I don't think they came out of the Winnipeg game with any injuries. No, they didn't come out of that that I'm aware of. They've had a multitude of injuries, though. They've done it. They've had like 5 different starting kickers and 6 running backs. It's just been crazy. I think Calgary will win by 10. Good. Do you think Winnipeg would give Edmonton more of a game? I'm not sure what that means. Winnipeg's out. I think Edmonton is of the two is the better team. That's all I can say, but Winnipeg's a very good team. Which dark horse player on either team? Who's a dark horse player? I like Begelton. I'm going to say this about Begelton. I'm not sure he's playing with Markway McDaniel coming back. Wait and see. Dark horse player. What does that mean? How about a strip and a big return on a fumble by Jameer Thurman? How does that sound? Any attendance updates? No, that's for sure. So that's one guy. For the Edmonton Eskimos, how about Calvin McCarty? He's a great veteran for them. He's done a lot through the years, and I don't know how much longer he's going to play. Maybe he's got one more big play in him. He's always been a fierce competitor, so I kind of like him, so we'll have to wait and see. Anything more about a new stadium? Nope. Sorry, I wish every once in a while you hear about possible upgrades, and they might give them some money, but it's all talk. We know that the state of facilities in this city is brutal. From hockey, we all know the baseball stadium's about to fall down if it isn't knocked down soon. Just up there, you got McMahon, so no, I wish I had something more to that. How about a block punt on special teams? Sure, maybe that'll be Jameer Thurman. He'll scoop it up and run to the end zone there. So there you are. Doesn't sound like Begelton will make the roster. Well, no. Here's the issue. Should there be, once Markway McDaniel comes on, an import and presumably a receiver sits, and Reggie Begelton's had a fine season, but he's the rookie. And to me, he's the candidate to sit. I guess we'll find out. But he strikes me as the candidate to sit. And as a result, it just is. If it's Markway McDaniel or Reggie Begelton, on Sunday, I don't think there's much discussion about it. No reflection on Begelton at all. Just the fact that Markway McDaniel's kind of the glue guy there. Can't have 5 import receivers, but I don't. That's right. I don't. How many do I have here? Anyway, I had 4 import receivers. Where'd they all go? It's not that hard. Okay, here we go. Yeah, McDaniel and Michelle returned to the lineup. So along with Daniels and Jordan, there's 4 right there, and you can't have 5. So that's just the way it is. So it's unfortunate, and again, I got nothing but good things to say. They're very happy with Reggie Begelton. This has nothing to do with nothing, except there's only so many roster spots, right? That's just the way it is. I don't see what else they can do. So anyway, listen, I've had a lot of fun getting on here. I've enjoyed it. We'll do these again sometime, but I just want to thank everyone for participating today. If you do have any questions after this, something you thought of and wanted some clarification, by all means, send me a note here on Facebook. I'd be thrilled to talk to you. And, I'm going to shut it off from our beautiful basement studios right here. As you can see, we spare all expenses. Pass rush, pass rush, pass rush. Yeah, it's going to be a key, no question about that. Daniels, McDaniel, Michelle, and Jordan. Yeah, that's going to be the... That's going to be the receiving core among Americans. Anthony Park will be on the roster. By the way, Anthony, all 18 games. I know he takes some hits here to there. I thought he had a very, very productive season there. So there, protect the football, no question about that. So anyway, that's where it is. And I really appreciate all of you joining us. That was awesome. Thanks very much. Well, I enjoyed it too. You made it awesome as well. We'll do it again. As I say, you guys, I just want to say this. You're the hardiest of the hardy. I know Edmonton's putting out some stuff up there. They got a bunch of tickets to come down. So I know sometimes unfairly, I might add, but Stampeder fans get the reputation of being a little on the quiet side. I don't happen to believe that, but make the noise that we can and go from there. So anyway, thanks to everybody. I really enjoyed it. And as I say, we'll do it again. Might even put a nickel into the studio, but in the meantime, you're the ones that make it great, so I appreciate it. I'm going to hit the stop button now, and where do we go there? I do it right there, and thank you, and good night.